We'll wait now as the women start lining up for what could be one of the big highlights of these championships, the 10,000 metres.
A great race in prospect here. Galeta Burka is the fastest athlete in the world this year. That was set at the Ethiopian trials. This is probably at the top end of her range in terms of distance. World indoor champion, incidentally, over 1,500 metres. World cross-country champion on the short course back in '06. But some really, really good Kenyans in this one. Sally Kipyego, silver medalist behind her compatriot Vivian Cheriot in Daegu, and she took the silver in London. Bile Nesholgira, she's a world cross-country bronze medalist and got a bronze in this event 2 years ago. Molly Huddle's had a good year for the Americans. But Vivian Cheriot won the Kenyan trials, double world champion in 2011, did the 5 and the 10, and she'd dearly love to get her hands on this trophy and this title once again. Going through from the inside, there's Alemitu Heroi, world junior champion, and alongside her, the tiny figure from Kenya, double gold in Daegu, a bronze medal in the Olympics in 2012. She's back, she's in form, and she wants to reclaim the crown she won in such style in South Korea. Shalane Flanagan, could she become the first non-African born medalist since Kara Goucher in 2007? Olympic bronze in this stadium, in this event 7 years ago. The omens are good. Great Britain's Kate Avery there as the cameraman moves to the second line of athletes. Just being asked to step forward. Anatolcha Felix there, Molly Huddle, Betsy Sayana, NCA champion at cross country and the 10,000 metres, Bile Nesholgira. And here's Sally Kipyego. She's been adding to her track speed with some good half marathon performances. I watched her in New York in March. She came third in the half marathon there behind a great performance from Molly Huddle. Silver medalist in Daegu, silver medalist in London. And then the fastest woman in the field, Galeta Burka, former world cross-country champion, former world indoor champion over 1,500 metres. She fell whilst leading the 1,500 final in Berlin, so perhaps she feels she's got unfinished business as far as the World Championship track events are concerned. 25 grueling laps of the track, a field of world-class Kenyans and Ethiopians. The drama is about to unfold. So, will we see some cagey early exchanges here between the Ethiopians and the Kenyans? And I wonder if Shalane Flanagan can get herself into the mix as she did in this stadium in the Olympic final back in 2008. Betsy Sayana is tucked in on the inside. A lot of these women, really good cross-country credentials, great strength. And Mohammed just moving in front of the Kenyan. And good to see Sarah Maria up towards the front. She was 14th in the Olympic final, a really good marathon runner, 2:24. And she's decided to get to the front of this very large field, but a long, long way to go. And it will be fascinating to see how this pans out tactically.
Well, much like most of these distance races in championships, even the men's, really, the 10,000, the first half was pretty, not pedestrian, but pretty slow. And then they start deciding, or the patience wears thin, and they start thinking about where they're going to make a move over the second half. It's pretty warm still, probably about 25 degrees down there at trackside. Not super hot like we had for maybe some of the walks early in the day, but still warm enough to worry about going too hard too early.
Takashima has decided to take things on in the early stages, as the Japanese distance runners so often do. 3:13 at 1,000 metres, so they're pretty much bang on just 32:10 pace.
Well, the rhythm is good, but it's not going to do too much damage early on, though they are stringing out Indian file. They're trying to conserve as much energy as possible. They string out like that because they don't want any further around the bends. They don't string out because the pace is fast, unlike the, say, the 1,500 metres where you try and keep on the inside to avoid the problems of just catching someone else's heels. Here at the moment, they're just relaxing through fairly comfortably.
Glimpse of Bilenesh Algira there. She ran well in Bangalore in May, so she's fairly comfortable in the humid conditions, and it is still quite warm. We're coming up to 20 to 9 in the evening local time here, but it's still fairly sticky out there on the track.
Good to see the Americans, though, just taking it easy in the middle of the field there. Molly Huddle and Shailene Flanagan just easing their way through in about 9th or 10th place. That's good. Not too far back, not too far forward.
There's still a long, long way to go. Takashima leading. Checkwell coming up on the outside. Good to see Uganda represented here. She's a good athlete. 16th in Moscow and 14th in the World Cross. That was here in China. A really, really tough course. And no real glimpse yet at the front from the Kenyan or Ethiopian trios. And incidentally, on paper, it's only the Kenyans, the Ethiopians and the Americans who've run inside 31 minutes this season. So the likes of Molly Huddle and Shailene Flanagan have high hopes that they may be able to get in the mix here and challenge the might of the East Africans. And there is Molly Huddle, and Flanagan working her way through the field just in front of her. Good memories here, of course, for her after that great bronze in the 10,000 here in the Bird's Nest.
Well, the 2K time, 6:27.88, so absolutely level pacing, no increase in tempo. 3:13.7 followed by a 3:14.1.
Still on course for just outside 32 minutes, which is why most of these athletes are still there together. And it's the two Japanese. It's O'Hara now, top 10 in the World Juniors a few years ago over this distance. She has now decided to take it on. As Steve said, running almost exactly single file. Sara Moreira has made her way up towards the top 3 or 4, and Sally Kipyego just closing in on the Japanese leader O'Hara. One or two signs that the bigger names are just beginning to take a bit of notice of what's going on at the front. Kipyego, Flanagan, Huddle. Moreira tucked in on the inside with the white and lime green shorts of Portugal, European indoor champion over 3,000 metres a couple of years ago. She's a really, really good athlete across a range of distances.
Oyere and Iljara just in the middle of that, the Ethiopians in the green, and just behind them, Burka, perhaps the big danger coming from the Ethiopians, is in about 5th from the back, or 5th or 6th from the back, so she's just biding her time quite nicely.
In this 10,000, a slight increase in pace, 9:40.47 at 3K, so a 3:12.6 split.
So still operating, just outside 32 minutes, and at some stage someone will make a move, but there's still an awfully long way to go. I wonder how confident Vivian Chariot is feeling. There was a lot of talk about her before the race began. A long time since those 2 gold medals in the 5 and 10 in Daegu, but one in fairly similar conditions. Still O'Hara leading. Takashira, the other Japanese athlete, just sandwiched in between Ali Said Mohammed, Asian champion, former Ethiopian. Now flying the flag for her new nation. Moreira still tucked in on the inside. The fastest women on paper in this field, the Ethiopians, the Kenyans, and the duo from America, Huddle and Flanagan rather, still not making any move.
I don't think there's been any significant move at this stage, really, Rob. It's the pace that most of these women can handle quite easily. They're stretching out, I think, because they all run on the inside, as we said earlier. So no real injection of pace at the moment that's going to do any damage. And I don't think we'll see it perhaps until way after halfway in this 10,000 metres. It's a bit like the race walk, but we have to watch them running around this lap course as opposed to the 2 kilometre lap course in the race walk, where we saw nothing much happening for the first part until they start getting tired. Still, fatigue starts becoming a factor in the event.
Huddle and Robery. Huddle and Flanagan, I beg your pardon. Just tracking the movements of the leaders. 12.55 is very consistent. Still low 32s, which is within the capability of nearly every woman in this field. Japanese swapping lead. Takashima taking her turn at the front now, relieving O'Hara. Huddle and Flanagan still there. And no move yet from Vivian Cheriot or Sally Kipyego, the gold and silver medalists back in Daegu. But it has been very consistent so far, the pacing. Anna Dolce Felix, European champion in 2010. She's now onto the shoulder of Takashima. And for the first time now, we see the Kenyans flexing their might at the front of the field. And look how quickly the Ethiopians are responding. Sally Kipyego has gone to the front. Algira is right there. And so too the world junior champion, Heroi. So it's Kenya 1, Ethiopia 2 and 3, and now, Steve Ovett, the race proper begins.
Certainly does. It's almost as if they've said, or their coaches have said, wait till the 5,000 metres and then start moving through. And Kipyego just saw that time up on the scoreboard, and as soon as she saw it, she moved through the field and has started to pick the pace up. And you can see the difference now. The Ethiopians have decided that the race is on. They've moved forward, and also some of the big stars of this event coming to the fore now.
Betsy Sayana, one of the other Kenyans. We haven't spoken a great deal about her. NCAA cross-country and 10,000 metre champion. She's just moving up onto the shoulder of Heroi. But it's Kipyego leading at the moment. Anna Dolce Felix is in second place. Algira, Heroi, Sayana, Molly Huddle just deciding to close the gap on the leaders. There hasn't been a massive injection of pace, but it is significant as to who is now leading. Well do, the Eritrean, 11th in the World Cross Country Championship earlier this year. She's found this difficult on a different surface, and she needs to move out the way here, just showing a little bit of inexperience. Felix goes round her on the right, Kipyego goes round her on the inside. And speaking of pressure, 9 laps to go in this track equivalent of the marathon. Sally Kipyego leading. Felix is in second place. Then come the Ethiopians, Bilenesh Algira. And for the first time, we've seen Vivian Cheriot heading towards the front. Disappointment there. Ayla Saeed Mohammed, the Asian champion this year, the former Ethiopian, was at the front for quite a lot of that race, but she's had to pull out, decided enough is enough. And another little significant development here. The Ethiopians have hit the front. So it's Algira leading. Heroi is in second place, and Vivian Cheriot has closed the gap into third. The familiar nations and the familiar names are making their way through to the front. Kipyego in fourth. Great run this so far from Molly Huddle. She's just ahead of Felix.
Yeah, Huddle looks good. She's just cruising through there. Infield coming through outside of her. Algira, I think, and just behind her, Heroi know that they've got to take the sting out of the Kenyans. and that's an increase in pace.
Well, only just. I mean,
Yeah.
73.8 is still not quick, really, by
No.
these athlete standards.
A bit like the 10,000 metres for men. They took it to the pace, but really didn't do anything really over that last stages to do any damage.
But this is relatively much slower than the men's 10 overall, though, as well. So there could really be a sensational finish.
They're now on course for outside 32.30. They were just around about 32.10 at one stage, and that's why there are still so many women in touch in that lead group. It's absolutely loaded up the front. 6 laps to go then.
And it's getting slower still, a 78 lap.
Yeah, well, that's going to be pleasant for most of the other women in this race who are worried about the fast pace. But really, I don't think it's going to last for much longer. At some stage, the Ethiopians and the Africans will start stretching it out just a little bit more, pulling that string tighter and tighter.
Betsy Sayana is leading. Heroy and Algira in second and third. Still no move yet from Galetta Burka, the fastest woman in the field on paper. And remember, she has that indoor credential over 1,500 metres.
But is there a faster finisher than Vivian Chariot?
Bile Nesh Algira has gone to the front. It was the first time we saw Vivian Chariot poking her nose out the front of the field. And what a great run from Molly Huddle. She front ran a very memorable 5,000 metres at the London Diamond League, and it took none other than Mercy Chirono to beat her. Heroy, the Ethiopian who's tucked in third place, just talking to Bile Nesh Algira, her compatriot, saying, listen, you need to pick it up here. I'm tripping on your heels. So Algira leads. Huddle right alongside her in second place. On the outside, the tall figure of Sally Kipyego. Betsy Sayana is right there, and so too still Vivian Chariot. Good run from the Portuguese Sara Moreira. And the youngster Alemitu Heroy has decided to take on the pace. She's got Molly Huddle alongside her. Galetta Burka, there she is, sandwiched in between the two. It's the first time we've seen one of the pre-race favourites putting herself in contention at the front. All the Ethiopians are there, all the Kenyans are there. And what a great positive run this is by the American Molly Huddle, deciding she wants to get right in amongst this race that's for so long been dominated by the East Africans.
Still pretty slow, but 74, an increase in pace.
That's good, though, because it still means that the mums with a fast finish are still in there with a chance of taking it to the Africans. Huddle doing very well. Kipyego coming around now. They're all starting to bunch again in that pack. You can almost throw a blanket over about 10 of the athletes now as they come around to 3 laps to go.
28.52. It's way, way inside what they're comfortable at here. So many still in contention, and this is going to turn into a real burn-up. Molly Huddle finds herself at the front. She's not afraid to lead, as she proved in the Diamond League, but a Diamond League is different to a major championship final.
Someone's nerve is going to break in a minute. They really are. Someone's going to make a move as they see that 2 laps to go. They're not going to leave it until the last lap, I'm sure.
Less than 800 metres to go. Molly Huddle leads. Sally Kipyego is in second place. The youngster Alemitu Heroy is tucked in on the inside. Still no move from Vivian Chariot, who finishes so quickly. Betsy Sayana has just drifted behind the other American, Shalane Flanagan. And Burka now, the fastest woman in the world this year, coming wide on the outside. Surely someone's going to start winding it up. There's only 600 metres to go.
600 metres to go, and it's the American that's winding it up. Good run. Molly Huddle is really starting to stretch them out. Now, as she got a sprint finish, she looks as if she's a long striding woman. It might take acceleration over this last lap to gain the gold medal.
Huddle leads. Burka now in second place. Heroy is in third. And look at the way they're beginning to queue up. Vivian Chariot is the smallest of the 3 Kenyans, and she's coming up onto the shoulder of Flanagan.
Well, Flanagan came through on the inside there. She's boxed, but she looks very strong. If she can get out, I think she's in with a chance of a medal.
Molly Huddle leads, taking it to the Ethiopians and to the Kenyans. A great run. Galetta Burka's in second place, Chariot's third. The big women are queuing up for a massive finish here. Burka leads then. It's the first time we've seen her in front, the world indoor champion over 1,500 metres. And look at Vivian Chariot coming on the outside. The two biggest names from the two biggest distance running nations. Vivian Chariot has hit the front, but has she gone too early? Can she hang on? Galetta Burka trying to come on the outside. This is a brilliant finish. It's been a tactical race. Who wants it the most? Who's got the acceleration? Who's got the belief? Vivian Chariot gets 1 metre. There's a look of consternation on the face of Galetta Burka. Burka settles for second. Chariot defends the title, and really close between the two Americans on the line for the bronze. Great running there from Infeld and Molly Huddle. It's a photo for third from the Americans, but Vivian Chariot has taken the title. She won in such style in Daegu 4 years ago. She had the speed, she had the finish, and the Ethiopian couldn't match her.
Well, for third place there, real drama really, because you saw Molly Huddle, who runs so well up until the point, put her arms up and thought she got it, but in the end, Infield dipped her on the line and got the bronze medal in the last stride of that race.
Well, I tamed Chariot's last lap. I was fairly confident she was winning, I'd have to say. She was fifth at the bell. She then ran a 31.3 split, and then she finished with a 29.3 for a 60.6 last lap.
Yeah. That's the damage. It really is.
Well, they played into her hands, and she's reclaimed the title and done so in fine style. The two of them were a class above the rest in terms of their finishing sprints, but what a story for Emily Infeld, out-dipping her compatriot on the line for the first non-African born medal since Cara Goucher, the American, picked up the bronze in 2007. What a performance from Vivian Chariot. She was lightning quick on the last lap, and not even the might of Galetta Burka could deny her recapturing the 10,000 metres world title. Good silver medal for Burka, and what a story for the bronze. Absolutely incredible that Infeld came through, out-dipping Molly Huddle, who's absolutely inconsolable at the side of the track at the moment. You could argue it was even more impressive sprinting than the men. And there is Emily Infeld, third in the American trials. She can hardly believe not only that she got a bronze medal, but that she had to out-dip her countrywoman Molly Huddle, who'd run so well all the way through the race. So Vivian Chariot succeeding where Geoffrey Kipsang Kamworor could not for Kenya. Kenyan men finishing second behind Mo Farah in the men's 10,000, but there was no second place in the mind of Vivian Chariot. A brilliant sprint over the last 400 metres, a richly deserved gold, and look at that dip on the line. Well, as Chariot looks over her shoulder and punches the air, Molly Huddle will rue her early celebration. She threw her arms up in the air, and it allowed her compatriot to come through. Vivian Chariot is once again the world champion over 10,000 metres. A great silver for Galetta Burka, and Emily Infeld breaking the heart of her compatriot, but taking the bronze medal in the process.